This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
We are back with another episode of Inside the Locker Room, and it's a big one. Look, Michael, you have been saying all offseason throughout SWAC football, MEAC football, even the start of HBCU basketball that, this offseason was going to be big, What are your thoughts going so far?
It's very electrifying. I will say that, first of all. I'm really, just highly excited to see how the SWAC play is going to go. It's going to be real competitive. I am really excited to see Alabama A&M versus Grambling State, and not just Alabama A&M and Grambling State, but I'm also looking to see, Coach Dante Jackson versus Patrick Prairie, two very good coaches in the SWAC play right now. So I'm really looking forward to that matchup and many other matchups that I can.
Michael, and real quick, we got to give our props to Antonio Munoz from Grambling. Lights out week at the Chris Paul Classic. Always got to give our props up to Grand Fam.
Yeah, I mean, going 2-0 in a classic like that, I mean, that just shows you the skill level and the talent that Patrick Prairie has brought to the Grambling men's basketball program. And it's only going to get better and better for here. And his first season might end up going highly better than what people anticipated. So I'm really excited to see just how this season is going to go, especially SWAC play with Antonio Munoz and many other guys that I can just think of. But Antonio Munoz is going to be freshman to talk about in the SWAC.
Yeah, so now one thing I didn't know, I said to all of our guests, and all of our fans, they said, look, we got to get a coach on the podcast. They said Mickey Joseph. We said, look, that's going to come at a later date. And look, we're still trying to work currently with Grambling Radio and Nate, all of them over there to get over there. But what we did say is we were going to start diving into all the HBCUs, all the D2 HBCUs and that. But the one school I really do want to look at is Alabama A&M. They took Coach Dante Jackson. A lot of players from Graham and the coaching staff went over there, Alabama A&M, and the success they're having right now is off the charts. Michael, can you can agree with that, because you were the main one who brought it. You were the first one that told me about that when I wasn't even paying attention to basketball, because like I said at first, I am in the band, so basketball was just not on at my bingo card at the moment. But you keep an eye on it, and you said Alabama A&M is making some noise. Look, I want you to introduce our guest on, because Michael, without you, this wouldn't even be possible.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the complete pleasure and honor to welcome Kyle.
How y'all doing, man? I appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for having me, man. Mike, I appreciate it. And Deuce, I appreciate you as well, man, for all y'all doing right now, man.
Absolutely, Coach. We talked about the different, but not just football, but just basketball. A lot of people here in the state talk about stuff in the state of Alabama. They don't talk about Alabama A&M. They talk about Alabama Crimson Tide. So that's kind of the vision here now, is to get HBCUs on a higher level. And if they're not going to do it, it just takes me and Deuce, and that's just what we're going to do. But, Coach, I'm actually glad that you took the time to even, DM me, because, like I said, I was just a complete stranger DMing you. And you took the time to actually text me, because I'm thinking, like, I don't even think he's going to respond. I'm just a random guy DMing him. But I actually appreciate you so much for trusting me and Deuce with the information that we were giving you.
Because it helps. It really does help us, because, look, we're trying to make an impact on the HBCU community. I feel like we feel like in general, and I feel like a lot of people can agree with us, HBCUs are just not getting as much love as they should be compared to, these bigger programs. And HBCU ball is awesome, in my opinion. I kind of think it's better than some bigger FBS programs, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, you're right. You know, you definitely right, man. Like I was telling Michael earlier, just man, you have to be able to treat this as your big time, and at the end of the day, you know, who knows? Like I said, people laugh at Pat McAfee right now when he was doing his show just out his own pocket and on his own, and now look at him, you know. And I think that'll go a long way with you guys as well, man. Just continue to do what y'all doing and continue to shed light because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, man. Treating your situation as a big time. So when you get big time, you don't become big time.
For sure. I'm not gonna take up too much of your time, man. We're gonna go ahead and jump straight to these questions right quick. And the first question I have for you, and I wrote this as a title for you, coaching philosophy and style. So, Coach, my first question to you, as far as philosophy and style, Coach Jackson wants an high tempo defense first team that attacks the paint. How does your coaching role specifically support that vision?
uh, Being everyday hard worker. We always tell our guys to be everyday guys. So it's either you get eight or you eat. And we always tell our guys if we got to control and coach effort, attitude, and toughness, then unfortunately you're gonna get eight because you can control those three things in life, and that can help you on the court and help you off the court. And so those are the things that we build and instill in the culture of the program. Just being everyday guys and meeting these guys, these young men where they are, and understanding that hey, you know you might mess up, but at the end of the day, mess up going hard, and we can always adjust. But if you messing up going 20%, then who knows what could have been done or what couldn't have been done, you know, or what could have been avoided from you making those same mistakes. But man, for the program, man, it's just eat or be ate, and those are the things. Like I said, that's energy, effort, and attitude and toughness. You can control those things, and that's our biggest thing. Control what you can control.
Yeah, so one thing I am going to say about Alabama A&M is that y'all have a lot of hidden gems on that roster from top to bottom. But what I want to ask you is that because a lot of people, I think social media covers a lot of things, but what it doesn't cover nowadays is like some of these hidden gems, some of these hidden leaders on this team. Can you just give me like what are these leaders on this team? What are these hidden leaders that are not getting enough spotlight?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, everybody knows the Catavius Dozier's and Sammy PC's and Karan Davis's, James Graham. You know, like you said, we got a lot of good guys on the roster, but a guy that has really just been an everyday guy. That not that those guys aren't, but a hidden gem would be A.G. Onion, a guy that we retained from last year's roster, last year's team, 6'9" kid out of South Sudan, and just a guy that just man selfless man. He'll give you his shirt off his back. He'll do whatever you ask him to do. He'll tell you if you tell him to go run through a wall, he'll do it, and without any backlash, nothing, no rebuttal, no anything, man. And he's been a great guy. You know, 4.0 student in the classroom. He's gonna graduate in the spring. It just does everything the right way all the time. You know, and those are things that that help build championship teams. And like I said, y'all had my former player John Aku on last episode, and I watched it. You know, I really realized that what we do and what we're putting into these guys, that it stuck with him. You know, and now he's saying some of the things that we were telling him. You know, and he said them on y'all's podcast, and it was just a beautiful thing, man. And I believe AG is going to be the same way for us.
Agree. You know, you just said, that leads to building a culture in your locker room, and it starts with the coaches. And my coach used to tell me all the time is that you can't expect a team to be disciplined if it doesn't start with the coaches. And what you teach is what you follow. And that's been the philosophy, that's stuck with me. And even through high school and into now is that discipline is everything in every sport. So that I'm actually glad that you pointed up on that. But Coach, my second question for you is, and this one I wrote this down. This is called player development and culture. And Coach, my second question to you is, what's the team dynamic like, and how do you build that family atmosphere in the locker room? Oh,
Oh no, you good. I'm sorry, but man, it's a 4-5-6 family. We say that every day. 1, 2, 3 Bulldogs, 4, 5, 6 family, and we truly, genuinely mean that. And it didn't just start here at A&M. We did it when we were at Grambling for for the previous 8 seasons, and it was just it's a genuine concept, and it's always been about life after basketball with us. As a staff, from all the assistant coaches that have worked with us, from me and Coach Jackson have been, this is season 9 together, and so from the current staff we have to former coaches, they can tell you the same thing, that it's bigger than basketball for these guys, because at the end of the day, the blessing I get out of it is, yeah, you can go play professional, you can go score all these points, get all these accolades, but when you call me and tell me I'm about to buy my first house, or coach, man, I'm about to have my first child, or coach, man, I appreciate you because now I'm coaching and now I hear myself saying these type of things. And it's always about feed. We tell our guys, you got to feed yourself, and it's an acronym that we use. You got to have focus, you got to have some effort, you got to have some execution in life, and you got to be disciplined. And that's what we tell our guys all the time. You got to feed yourself, and you can do those things all in life and in basketball. You have to have focus on your scout report, just as well. You have to have focus on your studies. You can execute the scout report just like you got to execute your studies. You got to have some effort. You got to put some stuff. You got to put effort into practice every day, and you got to put effort into your studies, and then also you got to have discipline, and that explains it itself. Discipline. So you can do that on and off the court, and I think that's why our guys always come back, and we can have conversations and random FaceTimes, and just that's what helped build the culture, man. Being able to meet these guys and let them know that it's bigger than basketball. It's not transactional. It's really family. We definitely want to. We meet you where you are, and you become one of us.
So for me, and me and Michael, we talk about Contavious Dozier all the time. We watched what he did at Graham. I'm a sophomore at Grambling, so I saw what he did last year. A lot of people did not have Grambling going far in the playoffs last year, and Contavious Dozier, honestly, he put the team on his back, and he took them a long way. And honestly, y'all didn't get at the time, y'all didn't get to where y'all wanted to, but y'all are at Alabama A&M now. Contavious Dozier recently just hit 1,000 points in his career. How have you, just seeing him grow? What does that mean to you? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, just a beautiful person as well, man. Like, he's just a great guy. Like my sentiments about AG Onyang. He's a guy that just, as much as he's the face of the program, he doesn't care. He wants to win, and he cares about people. He doesn't even care about the basketball portion of what I think that is a testament to Coach Jackson and the staff and what we've instilled in him as being a leader, as though sometimes it ain't about basketball, man. Pull your guy to the side and let's talk about life. And one thing I can commend that we do every day, every week here at A&M, we did it at Grambling as well. We do 15-minute meetings every Wednesday, and it's not even about basketball. We talk about life, and that's a thing, I think, a key reason on why at Grambling we didn't have a lot of guys transfer, because they wanted to stay, and if they did leave, they left on their own, but really not wanting to leave, but just leaving because they just, hey man, I just want to leave, but I really don't want to leave, but I just got to leave. And I think that's a testament to our staff as well. And like I said, Contavious, man, best person ever that I've ever really, one of the best I've coached, talent wise and person wise.
No, kind of glad you touched up on that, Coach Jones, because we talk about what you and Dante Jackson did for the men's basketball program. You put them on the map. You got them noticed in the NCAA tournament. You beat you were able to play against Prairie View. I mean, not Prairie View, Purdue, and that in particular. And me and Deuce, we talk about all the time that what you and Coach Dante Jackson built will never be forgotten, because without you guys in particular, and there are many other coaching staff that we can talk about, but with you and Coach Dante Jackson, that's kind of the reason why I touched base with you, is because of the fact that it wasn't just Coach Dante Jackson, it was you, it was many other players, it was Dozier. Because let's not forget, for the people that don't know, Dozier was the point guard for Grambling before he transferred. For the people that don't know. But Coach, my third and final question for you on today is the recruiting and the roster building. What's the process for scouting and bringing in difference makers from Grambling State to
Well, I mean, it's a constant thing now, and we're in the days of NIL, and it's crazy, and revenue sharing. It's what the SWAC schools call it, and it's the difference makers are hard to come by as far as in this age because everybody wants obviously the money, and I think for what we do as a staff. Um, like our recruiting coordinator is Coach DeVaris Walker on this staff, and also Coach Cameron Prather, and they do a phenomenal job, and I think we all do, finding diamonds in the rough, like you said, and it's like we're guys that we're the second chance guys. I believe we have to give our kind of kids second chances, unfortunately, because they've messed up, and obviously all of them don't be tragically mess ups, but hey, sometimes it doesn't fit. You go to a place where it just doesn't fit, and you need someone that sometimes looks like you, that understands you, that can meet you where you are. So when you do have those mistakes, hey man, come back to this way. Come back, yeah. It's like a molding of a pot. The molder is holding the pot together, but he might slip off, but he pushes that mold back together. But that's what we're here for as coaches. If you might get off track a little, but if we just throw you to the wolves, are we doing you a service, and are we doing our community as a service? And so that's what we do, man. We try to find those guys that you're talented, but you just need a little bit more grooming.
Look, look, Michael. I look. I'm glad that you got him. Coach Jones, I am grateful that Coach Jones, I am grateful that you got him because honestly, look, I was telling Michael this in our little group chat. I did not expect us to get a coach. And I told Mike, I said, look, hey, you never know. Just try and shoot your shot. Just try and shoot your shot. And it worked. But look, this is one thing I just want to ask you before we let you go. Grambling is that they're under a new coaching regime after Coach Jackson took the staff and some of the players, but Grambling is still doing well right now. If some people don't know that Grambling's still doing well, and right now they're kind of behind y'all in the SWAC standings. Just when the time comes around in February, how do y'all just prepare for them?
Man, gonna be a great team. Coach Patrick Prairie and that staff is doing an amazing job. Just like like Mike has alluded to, the whole SWAC, everybody. We have some really good coaches, and we have some really good ball players in this whole league. And so there's not going to be a night off. And preparing for them, obviously, with that being going to be our first time back, and since leaving, it's going to be some emotions. It's going to be, it's going to be back and forth. I know it is, and because Coach Dante and Pat, they go back before even Prairie View. I mean, FAMU and Grambling. They go back when they were playing against each other at Stillman and Washington Venice, and Central State and Washington Venice. So this is a brotherhood of long competitiveness. So it's always gonna be great. It's gonna be competitive. It's gonna be love. Um, I hope we don't get a lot of boos. I hope, but it's gonna be all love, man. I'm forever indebted to Grambling State. It was my first job, and this has been my second job here at Alabama A&M. So I'm always forever indebted to Grambling. I'm Grand fam till I die. Besides when they play us, but obviously, but I love I appreciate Dr. Travion Scott and all the guys, that everybody that had a role in what we did when it was magical. That run was magical, and it's sometimes at the end of the day, it's nothing that was bad that happened why we left. It's just, hey, sometimes it's just time to move, and I want people to understand and hear that from the horse's mouth. There was nothing bad that happened. So, I know people, the street committee, they didn't want to do this and they didn't want to do it. No, it was just time to move. And it was nothing. It was a mutual party. It was never, y'all didn't do this, so we gone, or we wanted this and y'all can't, so we gone. It was never that. It was, it's always going to be love. It's always going to be family. And because at the end of the day, we did something that was special at Grambling, and that's why, what we are. And so, but I think with them, they're going to be a fast-paced team. They have a lot of guys that's 6'5" to 6'7". They're interchangeable. They can shoot the ball. They play hard. So you're gonna have to really come in there with your hard hat. And where they're at standing is no shock to me or anybody, I believe, on our staff. them going 2-0 is great in the Chris Paul thing. And I tell people all the time, I root for all our guys. And when I say guys, I root for all the teams in non-conference because at the end of the day, we have to gain respect. And the only way we gain respect as a conference is that everybody go out and beat somebody that they, quote unquote, not supposed to. And so that helps us with at the end for whoever the tournament champion is to possibly get a 15 or a 14 seed instead of having to get a 16, because now your power rankings within your conference are major because you go get those outside wins like UAPB did against UIC and other games that that have happened because Norfolk and Hampton will end up being pretty good in their leagues. So now those wins look better on our on your resume.
For sure. And Coach, I'm gonna say this to you. I can speak for all Grand fans, and I say once a Grand fan, always a Grand fan. There's no doubt about that. And I can't speak for my Grambling folk over there in Grambling, Louisiana, but I know here for me and Deuce that we got nothing but love for you and Coach Dante Jackson. And not only that, we cannot wait to have y'all, at the Frederick C. Hobby Assembly Center, and then at y'all, basketball. I think it's going to be a huge contest. And your boy Joseph, he was talking about, when that game happened, y'all need to have me on. So, so we're gonna try to do that because what people don't understand is, the SWAC it's a real competitive. Things like Alabama A&M, Grambling State, Dante Jackson, and Prairie, and y'all coaching staff and Grambling's coaching staff. That whole atmosphere in general is just it's a real competitive matchup that most people that don't know about HBCUs, as I call uneducated HBCU folk, don't understand. But Coach, I'm not gonna take too much of your time, man. I want to thank you so much, bro, for your support and you're taking the time to come on here. Like you always stand with me and Deuce, and there is no hatred in our eyes. There's no discrimination when you or Dante. As a matter of fact, I want you to do me a quick favor. Tell Coach Dante Jackson me and Deuce said what's up, and we can't see him back in Grambling.
Oh yeah, man, I will do, man, for sure, man. I appreciate y'all having me, taking out the time to y'all's busy Sunday, man, and doing what y'all do. And man, for real, bro, just keep going and keep grinding, man, because at the end of the day, y'all doing something that, hey, I know it's a move in what y'all doing. So hey, continue to do what y'all doing, keep blessing people, man, and God gonna bless y'all. And I appreciate y'all.
And thank you for joining.
Oh, for sure.
God bless you, man.
But Michael, so look, it's basketball conference play is right around the corner. Right around the corner. And Alabama A&M got their game against Fisk, and then they play Arkansas Pine Bluff. And Alabama A&M and Arkansas Pine. One thing I'm gonna say about Arkansas Pine Bluff is they are no sleeper to sleep on. I feel like right now, they're sitting at a 3-10 record, and but a lot of people look at your out of conference play, and what you call it? Coach just said, the out of conference games, they look good on your resume. But the conference games, the conference games is still where it matters the most. What are your thoughts for Alabama A&M just leading up to this game against UAPB? Because you want to make a strong start in this, in this new season. I'm gonna say this: Alabama A&M, for one thing, one thing about Alabama A&M is they can redeem themselves for the bad football season. They can have a good basketball season and at least have a good basketball season. One thing I say about this for Grand Fam is the basketball season kind of makes up, in my eyes, for some of the football team's inconsistencies for the last 4 years, because the basketball team has been good. And I tell my pops this all the time: Grambling's basketball team is good, and I'm surprised that more people don't go to their games.
And see, and that's the thing, and it's not even just in outside where they don't show up for Grambling. It's and I hate to say this now, but I got to be honest with you, dudes. From the past basketball games I've seen, there have not been a lot of students, showing up to the games, and it's kind of sad. But everyone has a schedule, got stuff going on, classes, stuff like that, and I understand that. But when your basketball team has been for the past 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 10 consecutive seasons, you got to show up. There's just no doubt about it. But I guarantee when SWAC play comes around, they will show up, because I don't think a lot of students understand that, when it comes down to out of conference play, yeah, the record is what it is. I mean, like you said, be a 3-10, is what 6-7 right now. But you have to understand that the out of conference games, they really don't matter. They don't determine how the season or SWAC play is gonna go. I mean, it might seem like it right now, but what's happening out of conference doesn't mean it's gonna happen in conference. Like I said in the last episode, the lowest team, UAPB, even though they're 3-10 dudes, they could be second, first, or third seed in the SWAC, in SWAC play. You basically determine it out of conference play. And even Alabama 6 right now. And out of conference play. So that's basically what you have to understand is that, and Grambling is right behind Alabama A&M at 6-7. So, and that's out of conference. That's pretty good going into a conference play, either dead even or below, below your average 500. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that how you start SWAC play and how you finish it. That's the main goal for not just Alabama A&M, not just for Grambling, and not for UAPB. It's for all SWAC and MEAC teams. And not forget about Bethune-Cookman. Everybody's talking about Bethune-Cookman could be a team coming up on the horizon. I believe.
Prairie View too, as well. Prairie View almost upset LSU the other day, Michael. I'm glad that you showed me that.
Yes, they showed it, and that's what I'm saying. It's stuff like that. And I'm actually, and let me say this, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Prairie View men's basketball team and many other SWAC or MEAC teams that have put big school teams on notice.
Southern is one, an important one, a huge one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And people need to understand is that we might not be. Let me rephrase that. Scratch that. The SWAC might not be as big as the SEC or the Big Ten is, but what you got to understand is you cannot define skill. You cannot define talent at any level. I don't care if you're D1, D2. Skill is skill, and coaching is coaching. And when it takes guys like, Prairie View, when it takes guys like Grambling, when it takes guys like Southern or, Bethune-Cookman or UAPB or Alabama A&M, you got to understand that on the other side, the coaching is there. The talent is there. So, I don't mean, mean no disrespect. I don't mean no harm to LSU, but now they got a taste of what, the SWAC, how competitive our teams can be. And not just in the SWAC as well, and many other HBCU conferences. But it's games like that, dudes, that make a difference. Because when you play good against teams like LSU or Alabama or any other team in general, you're putting yourselves out there, win or lose. As long as you make it competitive, you're putting respect on your school. You're putting your respect on your team to them. So that's a huge step, and I say that all the time. That matters. It might not matter to some folk, but it matters to me because a lot of people look at HBCUs as a small high school, small medium level college, team, but remind you that HBCUs got way more better history than some of these big schools do. I mean, I don't mean to be biased, but history, there is history. There's more great HBCUs than some of these big schools. I'm just saying, call me what you want. I'm just being honest here. Can I make it plain for you? HBCUs is where it's at. And like people say all the time, ain't no school like HBCUs.
Agree. Look, Michael, I got a question.
What's up?
Your thoughts on this Prairie View LSU game, because it was real close. It came down to the wire.
Man, I got one word to tell you about that game. Dominance. Prairie View showed dominance.
And look, honestly, Michael, I hate to cut you off real quick because I'm gonna let you. Prairie View losing this game. I don't when teams like this, when teams like put a fight against these bigger schools and they lose, like for instance, Grambling lost to Ohio 89-63. I can overlook that because they put up a fight. Aside, like the football team, they just didn't. Basketball is different though, because these smaller schools can compete with these bigger schools. They may not win, but they can compete. We saw Alabama A&M in the same scenario with Ole Miss. You remember, I think a couple weeks ago, Alabama A&M almost upset Ole Miss. So we're seeing that often. And Grambling almost upset Southern Miss. So they actually beat them earlier in the season and then almost beat them again the second time. But Michael, just what are your thoughts on this Prairie View LSU game?
I'm gonna say this, Deuce. First of all, Prairie View played with no fear in their DNA. They showed complete skill. They showed complete defense. They showed complete aggression. They showed, great shooting. Deuce, I got stats here for you, and I like what I see. I'm gonna start off with this. Deuce, Prairie View shot 26 of 54 from field goal. That's 48%. But if you would have asked me what LSU shot, I'm glad you asked. I'm gonna tell you. LSU shot 27 of 57 from field goal range. And that's 47% in math terms. So Prairie View beat LSU by 1% in the field goal percentage range. That does not come easy when you're playing a team like LSU. Let's not be sitting here and act like, LSU came into this game 10-1 and 7-0 at home. When you play like that in their atmosphere and as a good atmosphere as that LSU auditorium is, Deuce, Prairie View played with complete fearless in their DNA, and that's what you want to see. Oh, I don't even want to talk about this one. 3-point percentage, Deuce. I bet this is gonna shock you right here. As a matter of fact, I hope you got a pen because I'm finna try to break this down to you as good as I can. Prairie View shot 60%. What did LSU shoot? Here it is, Deuce. Write this down. 7 of 20. Okay, 35%. Deuce. LSU ain't never shot that low from 3-point percentage range.
Defense.
Outscored them in the 3-point 60% to 35. Deuce, oh my, I'm sorry, but I gotta sit here and make note of that because it's huge when you play like LSU. Y'all might not think it's important, but this is definitely important because the score says that LSU struggled. They slept on Prairie View ain't really a huge considered threat. Now that's what probably some of the LSU folks are saying. But what I'm saying is that Prairie View came in here fearless, and they showed that regardless of our record, we're gonna give you a game. Win or lose, we trying to win though. And Prairie View came in there and they changed the whole thought of LSU people. When that game was close, dudes, it came down to wire like you just said. That's when LSU fans started because they didn't think this game was gonna go the way it is, and that's what I'm saying. Y'all can sit here and discriminate these HBCU teams all you want to because of the money and the atmosphere and the team that you have, but make a mistake. It ain't just gonna be Prairie View. It's gonna be Bethune-Cookman. It's gonna be Grambling, A&M. They gonna give you a competition, and if you lose, that's on you. But if you win, congratulations. But just know it's not gonna be an easy win. And Prairie View proved that. And like I said, I give complete shout out to Prairie View. But dude, so I'm gonna give you one more stat here, and then I'm gonna leave it alone at this. Prairie View shot 93% from free throw range, and LSU shot 88%. Dude, it just seems like Prairie View just took control of the entire shooting core on all three categories. That just showed that's good coaching. That's good coaching, dude. It just shows you that Prairie View is going to be in SWAC play, if not top 5, top 3. I'm going to call it now, and like I could be wrong, but I'm just saying, I just feel like if Prairie View can continue to play like this, each and every going into SWAC play,
Look, a lot of teams. I think in general, a lot of teams in the SWAC in general are just going to be sleeper teams. I'm looking at it right now. Aside behind Southern, I still think teams that you have to worry about, hypothetically, Alabama State, Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, UAPB, and Alcorn State, and even Jackson State, because Jackson State, when playoffs come, they will make a run. And when the time comes, we'll talk about that, because one thing I will say about this playoff ball that we got to make sure for basketball, we got to make sure we got a lot of good content. For some reason, I'm trying to plan something. We got to do something for that Grambling versus Alabama A&M game. I don't know. I'm probably gonna go to the game because it's gonna be at Grambling on the 3rd. Actually, hold up, give me a sec. They play him on the 9th of February, I believe. So
I'm gonna try to make that game as well. As a
yeah, they
matter
play him on February 9th. And what I'm gonna try to do, hypothetically, we can get in. Nate will be there, so maybe it'll be a good time. We can see him record, get some. We could probably interview him when we get some free time. Because he is the announcer.
and then maybe if possible, we might be courtside with him. Deuce. I mean, you just never know.
We could probably get our own content. We could probably get our own content from the sideline. Maybe sounds from the sideline with Deuce and Michael. But I know, look, it is gonna be a few games this year that I ain't gonna go, and I'm gonna get content for the basketball game. But
Yeah.
Michael, one thing I just gotta ask you before this season, this conference play officially gets kicked off underway. Just when Grambling didn't make it to the championship game last year. They fell just short. And they had to go. They had to undergo, a coaching regime changes. And like Coach said, there's no bad blood between them and Graham. I'm just gonna state that. I have no issue with Coach Jackson. In my person, I didn't even know there were Graham fam alums out there that were mad. But let me say this to the Graham fam alums: this man, Coach Jackson, took us to the Final Four. He took us to the the NCAA tournament. He took us to the tournament. He won us the championship. Then last year, he almost took us back when we started a horrible start to the season. So no, any disrespect would not be tolerated. Any disrespect would not be tolerated because his respect is. I think he earned my respect, and I hope that he does well at Alabama A&M.
This ain't, and I'm going to make this clear as I possibly can. This ain't, first of all, this ain't no Grambling, Louisiana love or fan love. First of all, this ain't no HBCU, Dante Jackson bandwagon love. No. This is dominance that we're talking about right now. And Coach Dante Jackson, he literally built back up Grambling men's basketball program, because if it wasn't for him, who else would it have been? So you have to understand that sometimes, and like Coach just said, sometimes things happen. Sometimes, you can't control what you can't control. You can't control Dante Jackson, staying there. You can't control Coach Kyle Joseph, Coach Kyle Jones, staying there. Sometimes stuff like that happens. And, I'm not allowed, I was surprised that he left, but, at the same time, I understand. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes, better opportunities come up and you just have to take it. Not saying in Grambling wasn't an opportunity. It was. For the past 8 seasons, he made a difference. So it should be no bad blood, but I just think, dudes, the only reason why Graham fam has something against Dudley Jackson going to Alabama A&M is the fact that not only is that a rival between Grambling and Alabama A&M in general, but I think it was just the fact that, they feel a sense of betrayal when they shouldn't be. And I'm going to speak for Coach Dante Jackson when I say this. Whatever you do, continue coaching like you've been doing. And you see now what Dozier, Dante Jackson, and Kyle Jones have done. They're building up Alabama A&M's program to where it wasn't. And you just have to be supportive. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to be supportive in him and the coaching staff and the players that he brought along. Now, I can understand why it feels betrayal, because it was unexpected. But in the basketball, football, sometimes what's better opportunity is better opportunity. Or, it might not even be a better opportunity. It could just be, a connection. Some coaches go to schools for connection purposes.
And in terms of this, and I think Coach Jackson on Alabama A&M and the players he took with him to Alabama A&M, they honestly have been looking better all around. I mean, Dozier, Eason, I can go on. They just been looking better. So I mean, look, these athletes are benefiting out of it. I think this is the time that you just ultimately you can't hate on it.
Dude, I'm gonna add this right quick, because I never answered your question when you asked me what was the expectation for Alabama A&M Bulldogs men's basketball program. I'm just gonna list out the key factors here. First thing is new coaching and vision. Dante Jackson has proven. Scratch that. Excuse me. Dante Jackson, a proven program builder from Grambling State, brings a winning mindset and a focus on discipline, recruiting, and here it is. Write this down. Strong player relationships. Like Coach Kyle Jones just explained, it's not just about coaching. It's about building a connection with your players. And when you build a connection with your players, you build trust, you build love, you build loyalty, and that makes a locker room a dominant locker room, and then that carries on onto the court. That's what makes a difference. Second thing, style of play. Expect a fast-paced, aggressive basketball, attacking the paint, emphasizing free throws, and here it is, playing strong defense with good shot selection. I say that because before Coach Dante Jackson came, Alabama A&M, they had their struggles. They were trying to find their way. They had to fire the head coach that they had. And then you bring in Coach Dante Jackson, which is I think, in my opinion, it's a huge step for the Alabama A&M program. And then, shout out to Dr. Travion Scott, for not just grabbing somebody, but grabbing, somebody.
An offensive genius.
Yeah. And Patrick Prairie, who I spoke very highly of, at the time I didn't know nothing about him. But then when I did my research on him, and between him and Florida A&M, it just didn't work out. And before anyone asked me why, I can't really, for the sake of, privacy, I'm not going to touch base on that. But what I can tell you is that, the style of play, the new coaching and vision, it's the step in the right direction for Alabama A&M's basketball program. And it's recruiting focus. It comes down to championship aspirations. Can get my word out. And then also fan engagement. And that's what it takes, dudes. But one more thing that I want to add on is recruiting focus. Like I just said before, Jackson prioritizes, recruiting top local, regional, and national talent that fits academically and athletically. So make no mistake, like I just said, not only is this a huge, pickup for Alabama A&M, but this is also a huge step in recruiting for Alabama A&M. So I think that the competition is real now. It's more hype now. And like we just said, dudes, between Grambling and Alabama A&M, which I can't wait for that, because I think it's gonna be a great game. Whether it's at Freddie C. Hollis Center. And I highly encourage all Grand fans to join that game. And some Alabama fans, some Alabama A&M fans, come on through. This is like Coach Jones just described. This is all love at the end of the day, baby. This ain't no petty stuff like, he all of a sudden he want to come back in here. And I wish, I'm sorry, I had to stop myself. I wish Grand fans would boo Coach Dante Jackson and Kyle Jones. Deuce, I will completely be highly disappointed if they do that, because if it wasn't for Coach Dante Jackson, it wouldn't have been what the program is now. And Patrick McCrary, it's now his new vision is in effect. So it's not like we lost anything. I mean, we might have lost some players. That happens in when a coach goes to a different school. That happens. But it's about what you pick up. And Grambling picked up a nice amount. They got one of the tallest, rosters in the SWAC. And that ain't just coming from me. That's coming from the commentators who was at the Chris Paul Classic. They literally said that. I even got a clip. And do some matter of fact, I'm gonna send that to you when we get off here. What you have to understand, and I know I keep saying it, but I'm trying to make this as clear and plain as I possibly can, that regardless of what happened, and regardless of where Coach Dante Jackson is at, it doesn't from the talent that Grambling already had. And it doesn't take away from the talent that Alabama A&M already had. So it's not like, I can understand why it might seem like it's betrayal. but it's not. It's not. At the end of the day, it's all. At the end of the day, it's all understanding. At the end of the day, it's all respect. You cannot discriminate a great coach that helped your program. That's like Nick Saban, or that's like Lane. Okay, I know I'm jumping out of HBCU segment, but that's like Lane Kiffin, who was Ole Miss coach. He went to LSU, and now LSU fans talking. I mean, Ole Miss fans are talking down on him because he went to LSU. That's what I'm saying. You can't disrespect legacy. You can't disrespect, a winning head coach when you couldn't even do it yourself. If it wasn't for the coach that you got, your team wouldn't be nowhere near where it is. Let's be honest. If it wasn't for Coach Dante Jackson, Grambling wouldn't even be where that be.
Yeah, because even before him, I remember it was hard times for the Tigers.
Hard times. And I know that for a fact because my uncle, Lord rest his soul to this day, he even told me that Grambling basketball, it was okay, but it wasn't good enough. And then you bring in Coach Dante Jackson, he reshaped the future. SWAC titles, NCAA even, and I'm in my head, you got Kamala Harris calling Grambling men. I'm sorry, but that's huge. Hey, Deuce, that's real paper right there. That's real paper. So, it's just like, if it wasn't the legacy of Grambling's men's basketball program would not be what it is today.
Agreed. And look, we got to wrap this one up because me and Michael, we are on a doubleheader today. Later this evening at 8:30, we do have our South Carolina State Center joining the show today. One thing I did say about this for this segment, we were gonna get some guests, and we got guests every week. We pretty much got guests every week. As we go on, you finna start getting more bigger name guests. Andrew Body, if you're watching this, this is another day of us trying to reach out to you. We really enjoy it if you got on the podcast. Contavious Dozier also, look, I got a good feeling that he will be on. I can just feel it in my spirit that he will be on soon. He will be on soon. I got a good feeling about it.
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you something right now, man. Try to reach out to him. Try to reach out to him as much as you try to reach out to him. I mean, because like I said, you see me working over here. I'm coming.
Oh, yeah. To the ones watching, every guest that we get on this show is all in thanks to Michael. It's all in thanks to Michael. So Michael, we know you. Look, we gotta give you the ones that you're the ones that get. Look, and I was just telling my peoples about this. Earlier. I said, they said Brandon. They said Brandon, or that's what I go by. Or back here at home, they said Brandon. How come y'all have every HBCU video? It's like y'all have a guest. Like it's like every week y'all have a guest. And I said it's not me. I said it's my co-host. I said that's Michael. I said that's him getting them. And I said y'all got to give y'all's props to him. I said I can do it. I said I do a lot behind the scenes, but this look that contact.
Even though I appreciate that, and I don't even mean to cut you off, I appreciate that, but you do as well as you know me, and we met in person. I told you I am not a guy to take all the fame. I'm not even about fame. I'm just doing what the great Lord gave me and what my great uncle Patrick McDonald gave me. So I'm just passing it along. But
look, all in all, look.
Hold on, let me say this: if it wasn't for Deuce reaching out to me to be on this side of the locker room, if it wasn't for Deuce to actually agreeing with me to do this HBCU segment, if it wasn't for Deuce to making the cover, and the digital talent, the digital artwork that he has made with the covers, none of this wouldn't have not been possible. And let me say this: if it wasn't for God himself, none of this would be possible. And it's one thing I will say about that is that the Lord has plans for you. And don't go on to give out a scripture. I had to go biblical, but it is Sunday. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. If you don't remember that, remember that scripture. Jeremiah 29 11. The plans are for you all. It doesn't matter. So, Deuce, if it wasn't for you, none of this HBCU segment, the cover, the inside the locker room, DMing me and asking me to come along. None of this would not have been possible if it wasn't for you, bro. So let me say this: y'all give a shout out to Deuce because all this is because of him. I'm just joining. Okay, this I know I'm reaching out. I'm taking, but I can't take all the credit here. It Deuce, it really is all about what we both do, and I just feel
Inside the locker room will be 1 years old in I think about like in like 2 months, 2 months, and exactly a year. I think exactly a year ago tomorrow I started my podcast, so
and
it's
I'm
good times.
and I'm actually glad you touched base on that because November 6th of this year, I Michael Sports Talk has officially made it to 2 years of existence. And to be honest, I didn't start all this by myself because honestly, I was hesitant to do this. I didn't think I had what it took to do what it took to be a podcaster. But it was my wife. She spoke trust, she spoke love into me, and she told me that you can do this. You just gotta know you can, and not and it just I just been doing things. It started, I was living in an apartment doing it from my bed. My bed was my desk. My phone was, what it is now, but I didn't have this. I didn't have a computer. So I didn't even have all this that's behind me.
Yeah,
I
look, and I want to say, I hate to cut you off real quick, Michael. I hate to cut you off because speaking of, I didn't have this. Y'all, look, this is just I'm at my temporary. This is y'all know when I'm. This is Christmas break, so I'm just at a temporary station right now. But y'all know, look, one thing about this in the summer, I had a good background. But I'm gonna say this: the equipment. If I could just turn my screen around and y'all could see the equipment I had, none of this would be possible. Like, I mean, none of this would be possible. I'm talking about mics, cameras, speakers, lights. I'm talking about none of this would be possible if it wasn't for. And when we get back on campus, y'all will see all the merch, including this that will be added to my sports wall. I now have this CD poster, and I have Kendrick, not Kendrick Lamar, but a Kobe Bryant poster going up too. It's a lot of big things going. Mike,
Yeah, and I even got me a poster with
yes,
all NFL teams that I can wait on this fall back here. So trust me, let me just say this,
big things coming in 2026. I feel like 2025 we did overall for the whole podcast in general with me, you, Ben, Adam, even shout out to Noah who was on our first few podcasts, and I hope that you doing well in life, Noah. Shout out to him, but just success. And I think Michael, one thing about our podcast is that we got. I think what made us successful is four of us. We're from different parts of the world.
yes,
So we're able to talk about it more fluently. But none of this is possible, without our supporters. We're on the way to 300 right now, and eventually it'll be 500, and eventually it'll be 1,000, eventually it'll be 5,000. I feel like right now our podcast is just too far up, going in the right trajectory to even like take a step back. I mean, we're getting guests more comfortable to get on our show. We're getting more in-depth features, radio appearances. Also, I will say this: by the end of 2027, Inside the Locker Room, we'll have a website, a full functioning website with articles, live game scores. I promise, I'm gonna get all that set up. And also, Michael, I know you saw that little thing I did on college football 26. You like my story with all the HBCUs and stuff. I mean, so I'm going to get it done for the brand.
that was beautiful. And let me just say this, you might feel like that, God does not have plans for you where it started from. 'Cause like I said, when I started my page, I was just doing things.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was crazy, Mike. I was reposting sports clips. I know if y'all, everybody that watched me, I know y'all remember before I had this microphone right here. I remember I had that little microphone. I had a little microphone, I had a little camera, and I had but now, monitor, monitor, camera right here. It's big things, all 2027.
Yes, and I'm gonna say this. to all HBCU players that have reached out to us and that we haven't heard from. We
Well,
still want.
Miss, yeah, we still want you on here. I know we had a couple. We had a Prairie View player. We had a Texas Southern player. We had Hayden from Graham. We've had players in contacts with us to get on. And look, one thing I would say about this, me and Michael, we do not forget. We actually really don't. And we always talk about, we say, look, if we can't get them on this week, we're going to get them on eventually. And look, it's just a timing issue. And I know we had a few Delaware State players also trying to get on too. Look, they're going to get on too. As the off season keeps projecting, we're going to have more guest features and eventually maybe two. We're trying to incorporate getting 2 and 3 guests onto the podcast at once. But, me and Michael are still a young podcast, so we still got to get that worked out.
And I will say this, going into 2026, I did buy a calendar that I will hang up on my wall as well. So whenever a schedule is being put out, whenever time that will be, I will write that down. And, if something else happens and we have to reschedule, that's not a problem. Because what the reason why I bring that up is because, I want us, when it comes down to me, Deuce, and, Adam, Ben, is that I want us to have a proper scheduling and not just, because we could talk about doing something and then something comes up and we have to change it right away. I just feel like having a calendar and being properly scheduling things and properly scheduling with these players and not just here,
We got to look, and I know we're getting off track, but we just gotta do. I feel like, honestly, and I feel like to the ones watching this, y'all are getting a little sneak peek of what me and Michael have to go through. But yeah, I feel like we do got to get something set up in order for our guests to have like a confirmed scheduling date and time, so everything is official. But look, so we're not staying too long. I'm gonna say this. Make sure y'all are back, and make sure y'all watch the video at make sure y'all watch the video for our South Carolina State player, and make sure y'all please get us to 300. I don't know if y'all can see that. Please get us to 300. We are at 292 right now. I feel like we're close. Our last video, our HBCU football, as the South Carolina State celebration video, reached 100 views. HBCU hoops with Jonathan Aku reached 47 views. Please get that back up to 100 views. Anything, we know what our potential is. We got to 100 and we got to 1,000 views before, so we know it's possible to get there. So please help us get there. Also, make sure you tune into our Inside the Locker Room video. I know we've been in talks with Ben and Adam to do it one of these days, so it's going to come real soon. And then also, I told Michael that me and him are going to record a little short video talking about Tyler's show and the Saints, because I feel like we do got to give our props to the Saints franchise and Tyler's show, because Michael, you can't lie, he's been playing ball lights out. I showed you his stat sheet today against the number 1 pick. He had over 300 yards. He outperformed him. But
yes.
That's a video. That's a talk for another video. Let's talk for another video. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and remember what I said. Get to 300 and watch the South Carolina State video. And Mike, you got something to say?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this real quick. Make sure that y'all follow us on Instagram, because now I don't know if y'all know this, but like I said, we're not doing this for fame. We're doing this to make a difference and HBCUs and stuff like that. But your connection to us means a lot to us. Like I said, this ain't about fame. This ain't about what some of these folks are doing out now, just being on camera just to be on camera. No, we're being on camera to make a difference. Being on camera to statement to HBCU and to. So our podcast, our Instagram channel in general, individually and together and inside the locker room, it's not for fame. It's to make a difference. So please follow it. And it says down at the bottom, Michael Sports Talk. If you can't see that, there it is right there. And Michael Sports Talk. And then you got my guy Deuce, Sports Talk with Deuce. Make sure y'all follow us. Because like I said, we were trying to give y'all out content together and separately to make a difference and not for fame. That's all I gotta say.
One thing I gotta say though is this Sports Talks with Deuce, and it's been a thought for like a little minute. This Sports Talks with Deuce will soon become more. I'm trying to expand this, like just sports, and talk media, more media and more content, because I feel like honestly I am golden at that. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow our YouTube, help us get to our goal, and help us watch. I'm not help us watch our videos, but share the videos, help others watch our videos, because look, we're making an impact, and I know we are, because I've gotten confidence for it. But thank y'all for watching, and peace out.
Grace, peace.